I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the TNT Shock Series, coming to you from one of the most legendary racing circuits, the short tracks of the United States, Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, located in Brownsburg, Indiana. One of those places where a real-world car that matches what we're going to see on the racetrack tonight has the official track record. Matty Brabham setting that in 2013 in the Pro Mazda Series at a 20.174. And over the last decade, the times have fallen and fallen fast. My name is Chris Graham. Looking forward to a fantastic night of racing here tonight. 18 cars on the entry list as they're down to their final 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the practice session, and some of these drivers starting to work on the qualifying setup. Simon Fell, top of the charts, with a lap time of 19.300. Haul in the mail around this place. Brian Labarge, second quick at a 19.37, and Andrew Barry, third quick, 19.374. So all of basically everybody inside the top 8 or so. Actually, we can go as far back as 11th place Stephen C. Thompson, within about a tenth and a half of Simon Fell's quick time in qualifications. And we have a great championship battle shaping up here. James Watson leading the point standing, sitting on 147 markers. It is a 10-point gap to Nate Siefker in the second position. He is sitting on 137. Wes Shire third, 134. He's only 13 points back of the top spot. And with 4 races remaining on the schedule after tonight, it really could be any of those 3 guys claiming a championship. AJ Camargo, a surprise winner in our last outing, sitting in the 4th position in points, sitting on 109 markers. And that goes to show you, with his average finish of 6th, 1 win can catapult anybody outside of that top 3 into championship contending position here. Can't count out Simon Fell, Andrew Barry, Ben Carswell, even all the way back to 8th place, Alex Teeter, Vic Aldrich, and Darren Fahey. Those 3 drivers tied for the 8th position as we see Nikisio Shikawa sliding into your living rooms. 60 seconds remaining in the practice section. Vic Aldrich moving himself up to position number 4. Let's take a look here. Good looking race car there for Vic Aldrich as he comes over the line with 45 seconds remaining. He currently sits in the 4th position in the practice charts. Oh, buddy, hold on to it. They save off of turn 2 there for Vic Aldrich, but he decides, no mas, I have seen enough of this practice session. James Watson also out on the race course. Possibly waiting for one more driver to get in here. I have not seen Jeffrey Stanton come in here yet, but he did just get added to the league. So practice time is up for the session, and Simon Fell will be your hot lap hero of the night with a lap time of 19.300, and he's still turning laps down in the 19.3s, 19.4s. Oh, look at this. He's going to decide to show up tonight. I didn't think he would be here, but just in time for qualifications.
I was just in time. I pulled in the driveway right as you hit the live button.
Joined in the booth by Mr. Patrick Burr. What's up there, Bizzle? This should be a pretty good show here, especially with the 2-lap qualifying that we're going to have here for these guys too.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Raceway Park is the only real oval these cars run on in the real world. I guess all of the ovals we run here on iRacing are real ovals. But this is the only one they actually touch in the real world. This is a fun track for these things. They run all the way up against that outside wall. I have a feeling you're going to see a couple slide jobs tonight. This is a fun one tonight.
Yeah, this should be a very, very good show here tonight as we pick up Brian Labarge, who is working his qualification run. And again, this is 2-lap average qualifying. So James Watson, don't forget to run lap number 2. That one is important. Your first lap is going to get you on the board, but if you bone either one of those 2 laps, you are going to start towards the back of the field here tonight. Qualifying very, very important around this place, especially with some of the differing strategies that we could see in play. That this really is going to be a big, big deal.
Yeah, it is very difficult to make a move here and kind of carve your way through the field. So even if you're one of the fastest drivers in the field, if you qualify poorly, it's going to be a long night for you. 50 minutes to distance night, so it's going to be a long race regardless, but it feels like eternity when you're stuck in the back of the pack and know you can go so much faster.
Oh, buddy, Robert Drew, hold on to it off of turn number 4. Good Lord, he's going to bring that car down to a stop. Let's pick up Andrew Barry, who is still sitting on pit lane, waiting to make his run. So instead, we'll grab a hold of James Watson as he heads out onto the racetrack for his qualification session. Simon Fell is your quick timer right now with a best lap time of 19.550. Ryan Labarge, second quick. Looks like Wes Shire will be third quick. Nagiso Shikawa, David Sparks will be your top 5. See what Watson's going to do here is he trips the line for lap number 2. So tough to keep that race car off the wall with 7 minutes, 25 seconds remaining in qualifications. Still waiting to see Ben Carswell, Jason Miller, Andrew Barry, and RJ Hetke out on the racetrack. Got to thank everybody that's tuned in on YouTube here tonight. We appreciate you coming to check in with us, and make sure you drop us a shout in the comments here, and well, maybe we'll get you those comments up on the air as Watson completes his qualification run. Ben Carswell is now out on the speedway. James Watson is going to time in. I am seeing 15th quick, and he did not score a lap. So one of the 2 qualification laps, he picked up even a 0x, just a slight brush of the outside wall. And Bizzle, that is just so darn easy to do here.
Yeah, it's almost like you're running Darlington, running all the way up against the wall. It is very easy to kiss the wall and not even realize you did it. You can not feel it at all in the car, but it will trigger that 0x and invalidate your lap time.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is during the race, these guys are going to make contact with the outside wall. There's no 2 ways about it. But in qualifying, you cannot get the 0x on either of your laps as Ben Carswell is going to slot into position number 10. Cube is checking in on YouTube saying, "Hi, Wattsman. What's going on? Thank you very much. Glad you're joining us and hanging out here tonight." 5 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in qualifications, and the only car that has not taken time yet is RJ Hetke. James Watson and Robert Drew both completed qualification runs, but they will not score a lap time. So that means those 2 guys will start from very, very deep in this field. Watson, I think, can do no worse than 16th. Unless RJ Hetke gets a couple of laps on the board here quickly in qualifications. So we talked a little bit about the point standings. Let's see here. Cube is checking in. The Debbie Hetke, yes, RJ Hetke is in the show here tonight. We'll see if RJ is going to be able to get out onto the speedway here for qualifications. And McCullen checking in saying, "Have a great broadcast. This is going to be interesting." Almost as interesting as your race control that's jacked up on Sudafed. Feel well, M. No quickie cautions here late in the race. I think that was the message that went out in the drivers' meeting. So like I said, we were talking a little bit about the point standings here, Bizzle, and Watson with a 10-point lead over Nate Siefker, who is not in the show here tonight. Wes Shire third in points, sitting on 134. It's only a 13-point gap. With the way the points are structured, that's not insurmountable with 4 races left. But Watson is going to almost have to play a little bit of a passive aggressive, maybe, I guess you could say, where he's going to have to be at the front, but you can't do anything dumb while you're trying to stay up there.
No, you can't go for crazy blocks. You can't get yourself wrecked early in this race. And frankly, for that matter, in the TNT series, we get so many cars in the lead lap, you can't even get wrecked on the last lap.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we will end up with a bunch of cars that are still on the lead lap potentially late in this race, and well, that can make life difficult here if you're trying to contend for a championship. But it looks like Simon Fell will be your pole sitter here tonight with a lap time of 2-lap average of 19.569. Nice run there for Simon. 43 thousandths back, Brian Labarge. If you want to find a tenth of a second, you got to go all the way back to 7th place, Alex Teeter. There was a little bit of a discussion in the pre-race about, has the TNT Shock group as a collective kind of maximized what you can do with this car in terms of setup work? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, because if you've maximized everything from a setup perspective, then it boils down to who is just the best outright driver. It's almost like you're running a fixed setup series.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have come pretty close to maximizing what you can do with this car. These are the best drivers in this car. We've had people jump into the series and who are really fantastic in other series and just not able to do what the top 5, top 10 in this series can do. And for the most part, they're using either Andrew Berry's setup or one of James Watson, Nagisa Yoshikawa's setups. So there's only 2-3 setups that are out there floating around for these cars, and frankly, it's just about as fast as you can go. Nobody's figured out how to go that much faster like Oisin Walsh did a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, and that sort of took a, I guess not everybody was on Oisin's level in terms of setup. He shared some things in the Discord before leaving the league that basically was like, whoa, there were light bulbs popping off in people's heads all over the place. Once they got those setup tricks figured out, from there, it was like, okay, now I really get where these things are going to go. As RJ Hetge finishes his qualification run and puts that car up into position number 12 with an average of 19.774. So with that, qualifications are officially done, and it will be time to get these cars out onto the grid in another 70 seconds or so. Great weekend of racing we saw out of Phoenix Raceway for the NASCAR Championship weekend. Well, I will say good weekend of racing. If you exclude the Truck Series race, that was a bit of a dumpster fire. But Ryan Blaney picking up a championship win on Sunday. So now we kind of go into almost hibernation here, with the exception of Formula One, who will be wrapping up their season, I think, in December, but they're going to head off to Vegas in the next week or so. Doesn't mean that the sim racing is going to stop, though. We've got a whole lot going on here on the National Racing Network. Tomorrow night, we'll have the Sim Racers Club at Talladega, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the Indy Pro SOFs move to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Thursday night, they will take on Road America. Cube checking in saying those Oisin setups were wild. Yeah, it was a big change from what these guys were used to running. But now qualifications have completed, and it will be time to get these cars out onto the starting grid. rules of the road for tonight. Yeah, there we go. We can show you the rules of the road here as everybody gets ready to come out to the grid. They had a 90-minute practice, 2-lap average qualifying, 50-minute race length. Your fuel limit is 85% of the maximum for the tank. You're going to have, it's about a 35-minute or so fuel window, 2 sets of tires into the box. What I think really gets interesting, Bizzle, as we get ready to grid these guys up, is the fact that you're talking about the potential of short filling the car to start the race, and then from there, all sorts of strategic games are going to be able to be played.
I'm not sure that you would short fill the car to start the race. I would want as much fuel in there as possible, because with a large grid, you could see caution lap 1, lap 10, lap 50, or lap 100 of this thing. You don't know when it's coming.
Yes, Stephen C. Thompson checking in the comments, throwing the TNT emoji up there. You can get that one if you are a member of the YouTube channel here. Thank you very much for your support there, Stephen. We appreciate that. And as the field is getting out onto the racetrack here, let's get ready and show you tonight's starting grid. On the pole will be the 256 of Simon Fell, lining up alongside of the number 8 of Brian Labarge. Row 2 will have Andrew Berry and Nagisa Yoshikawa. Row 3, Dave Sparks and Wes Shire, almost identical 2-lap averages for those two, and we still haven't found a tenth of a second yet here. As we get to row number 4, that's where we're going to find it. Alex Teeter lining up alongside of Nieje Camargo. Stephen C. Thompson inside of row number 5, Ben Carswell to his outside in position number 10. Row 6 will have Zach Nurnberger and Jason Miller. Row number 7 tonight, Dakota DeMeg lining up alongside of RJ Hetke. And then we get back to the cars that, well, first we have Vic Aldrich and Mike Long. And then we get to the cars that did not set a time. That will be James Watson and Robert Drew. Field already into turns 3 and 4, and very quickly onto the loud pedal goes Simon Fell. Green flags out. We're underway here at IRP.
What's that called? The Colton Herta start?
No, the Colton Herta start is when you back off and pile everybody up. This one was adios amigos, I'm out of here. So now with a 50-minute start, or 50-minute time limit, I should say, on this one, it was really interesting. I mean, we were seeing laps where you got to lap 50 and the fall off in the tires was not as crazy from lap 50 to lap 75 as we might have expected. So if we see about a 50 or so total green flag run, you may see some drivers opt to come down pit lane, short fill the car, use both sets of tires that you have at your disposal, and try to be quicker on outright pace. That strategy is really going to require getting the cautions to time out just right for you, though.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of luck, and I think the winner of this race is going to be a driver that is particularly lucky. This used to be O'Reilly Raceway Park, and I think that Green Irish is going to be kind of a lucky charm for at least one of these drivers.
Yeah, quite possibly, as we see James Watson tearing his way through the field, already up to position number 12. He is up 5 from where they started this race. So Watson is on the charge, and quite frankly, he's going to have to be, because if there is an issue up ahead, he doesn't want to be in the middle of it. As we see Nieje Camargo, wow, big move there by Ben Carswell, and also little bit of a hornet's nest packing up here off of turn number 2, and this is where things get spicy if you're Watson, because you have to get through these guys, and at the same time you could see them there right towards the back of that pack.
These things, I like the way we call them hornet's nests in these cars. because these cars around this circuit do sound like a pack of bees, a pack of hornets, whatever you want to call them. That's exactly what they sound like going around here at Little Four Cylinders. That looks like the number 17 car, Teeter's involved.
Yeah, Alex Teeter may have clipped the wall there. He's going to slide back a little bit, trying to follow him. Not sure that the car has a ton of damage to it. Everything looks okay, but it doesn't mean the suspension's not going to be jammed up at all. No change at the front of the field. Simon Fell, Brian Labarge, Andrew Berry, Nagisa Yoshikawa, and Dave Sparks, your top 5. Look at James Watson again, as he has managed to kind of slice his way through this group of cars and coming around. Looks like Stephen C. Thompson into 24. Oh, man, that was tight. So now Watson already up to position number 9, trying to get his way to the front of this field. Move back to the front as Andrew Berry starting to close in on race leader Simon Fell. Now where this becomes interesting, Bizzle, is I'm seeing an anticipated race distance that we have right now of 250 laps. If they keep this pace up, you're going to have to absolutely run your sets of tires way longer than anybody else had anticipated. What I think is more likely to happen is we get to a spot where you're saying, okay, we know we're going to get a caution at about 50, 60, 70 laps in, whatever that number is, and you're going to just run the set of tires to where where the fall off is kind of where they need to be. I mean, the number that we heard was about 40% tire remaining after a 75 lap stint.
Yeah, and if these guys are anticipating a super, super long run, they will save the tires a little bit. What they were doing in practice is basically balls out, see how long you can get these tires to absolutely last. But knowing the race is going to go for longer than that with long green flag runs, dial it back maybe to 95%, maybe to 90%. You're going to get to just squeeze a little bit extra out of those tires.
Yeah, what was interesting was I think it was Andrew Berry saying he was going to fuel the car for a 75-lap run. If you go green flag all the way through this thing, that means you're making extra stops without taking tires for fuel. As we see, it looks like RJ Hetke having an issue. Let's take a look here and see what happened to RJ Hetke. Pick up the NRN replay here. Had Stephen C. Thompson just back behind. I think it's going to be, I would guess, next lap around, because we saw the issue was heading into turn 3. Well, you see the car start to twitch ever so slightly, and RJ slides to a stop down to the inside of turn number 4. So as we go back to the live look, Jason Owens checking in the comments. Hopefully things worked out for you there as well, brother. Who is saving tires already? Everybody should be. Yeah, that was kind of the discussion we had here. Time falls off big after 60 to 65%. I think that's about where we saw the fall off, but it kind of just plateaued. Like it was like you fell off a cliff to the plateau and you just didn't go any lower than that in terms of lap time. And a lot of this is really going to boil down to what, I mean, seeing the comment here from Jason saying Simon's already running a tire save line, in my opinion. That's a big part of how you drive this place is if you get it all the way up against the outside wall, you can save a bunch of tire. You can go fast, but you're not going to save a lot of tire. You almost just back the corner up a little bit, slow it down, save yourself the rolling resistance through the midpoint of the corner, and then you can pick the speed up on the back end on exit.
Yeah, these straightaways are long. These corners are really, really long and wide as well, so you shouldn't be diving into the corners with a huge amount of speed. You should be conserving your energy and trying to get the boost off of the corners.
Let's slide back in the pack a little bit here. Pick up Ben Carswell, Zach Nernberger battling for 9th and 10th. Carswell way up against that outside safer barrier through 1 and 2. Oh, Nernberger may have clipped the wall on corner exit. That battle starts to fizzle out as this one gets really good for the race lead. Andrew Barry, Simon Fell going to war. Go on board here with Simon Fell. See where Andrew Barry's hiding out back here. Interesting the difference in lines that we're seeing these guys run. Barry might be setting up for the crossover here, but I don't think he's going to be able to take advantage yet. Well, maybe. Had the look inside, getting right up under that rear attenuator as Simon Fell. Barry has the look inside. That lap time by the start-finish line score, Andrew Barry as your race leader. First lead change of the night. Oh man, LaBarge almost getting up into the outside wall. He's going to have Yoshikawa looking to the inside. A comment from Jason Owens. You know what does not save tires? Side by side. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're trying to do a tire save, you almost have to stay in line and behave yourself and really only take a pass if the opportunity presents itself.
You know what looks really cool? Side by side.
Side by side. Yeah, we don't care about the strategy stuff. We want to see people with their hair on fire. Oh, his caution is out. Yellow flag is out. First time tonight. Oh, man, Alex Teeter spun around backwards on the front straightaway. Let's take a look here. See if we can see what happened to Alex Teeter. Pick up the NRN replay. 33 laps on the stint. Teeter up behind Jason Miller. Like we said, it's going to be next time off at turn number 4. Oh, just almost caught that bump off at turn 4. And Teeter goes around. That brings out the caution. Tries to get it. Oh, and then he makes some contact with the outside safer barrier as well. So now we've got some strategery playing out here on the racing surface, and it's going to start right here with Dave Sparks electing to stay out on the racetrack. Everybody else coming down pit lane, 6.8 to 7.7-ish seconds the time of the stops. Now, based on the time of the stop, timing and scoring estimates say everybody took tires. I don't necessarily believe that.
I'm not.
I wouldn't think after 33 laps or so that you would come down and take tires, but so as we work under the first caution flag of tonight's race, this is one of those things that starts to help the drivers that when you're trying to manage tires, because it's not really a huge number of heat cycles that you're talking about putting on these tires yet, but it's going to reduce the lap count by a pretty significant number when you're talking about you going from running 19-second laps under green flag conditions to 48-second laps behind the iRacing safety car. If you get enough caution, it makes the one-stop strategy potentially really viable.
Yeah, especially with this not being a lap-based race, a time-based race. The more cautions we get, the shorter the distance of this race is. So you're trying to chase down a moving target when you're trying to decide how many pit stops you're going to need, how many laps the race is going to be. None of the drivers know how many laps it's going to be. We don't know how many laps this race is going to be. We just know there's 36 minutes left in it. Whether they spend half of it under caution or under green, that's up to the drivers.
So the iRacing safety car is in. Dave Sparks will bring the field down to green. He'll grab the loud pedal off of turn number 4. Green flag goes back in the air. We are underway once again. We'll see how Sparks is going to be able to hold on to the race lead. And if I remember correctly, he did this earlier in the season as well. Spent a lot of time towards the front of the field, trying to play an alternate strategy here from everybody else. If I'm in the boat of Andrew Berry and the rest of these guys at the front, I almost want to say, go ahead, Dave, lead the laps. I don't need to be out front. And if you're going to run a slower pace, you're going to save my tires.
I was just about to say, unless he's running a slow pace, yeah, but even still, I want the clean air. Because you're going to be pushing that right front tire sitting behind another driver. Oh, man, who's that? Ben Carswell sliding around.
Yeah, Ben Carswell almost went for a ride, and he is way down on the bottom of the racetrack. That is not where you want to be. Here at IRP, Dakota DeMay coming around his outside.
Hey, that 48 car kind of reminds me of the other 48 car that it was in an open wheel series. It wasn't doing very well in the 48's time in top-level American open wheel racing.
Wow. Making a Jimmy Johnson IndyCar joke already. We haven't shown Carswell on the screen for more than 10 seconds. That's impressive.
I sure hope there's no one on track that's a huge fan of that car.
We'll slide back in the pack. Stephen C. Thompson and Vic Aldrich battling. Thompson's going to have that spot cleared on the high side. Aldrich down there and kind of in that little invisible bump line off of turn number 4. That is such a tricky place to try to get a pass made or have to defend. Possibly a little bit of a connection issue here for Zach Nurnberger. He disappeared for about a second or so. Let's slide up towards the front. James Watson up to the 6th position, having a fantastic drive here today. Easily your hard charger of the race, up 11. Dave Sparks, Dakota DeMay got 3. Andrew Berry, Zach Nurnberger up 2. Kind of as we would expect here, Bizzle, this place can be tough to pass on unless your name is James Watson right now. And kind of where you are in qualifying is sort of where you belong on outright pace.
especially at a track like this where you're not flat out. It's not like the I guess we'll call them plate tracks where you can qualify in the back and make your way towards the front. If you qualified up front, it's because you're fast. If you qualified in the back, it's because you're not so fast. So usually if you qualify in the back at a track like this, you're not pushing your way up to the front unless you made a huge error in qualifying.
Yeah, Andrew Berry able to get around Dave Sparks for the race lead. Everybody coming around, a little bit of lap traffic there. I believe that was the 21 of Mike Long. Here at lap number 48, Robert Drew, Mac Delida, and RJ Hetke all out of this race early on. Watson continuing to charge his way forward, but Brian Labarge might be able to give us the best view of this one. On board with Labarge, there's Watson out the backside of the race car. But we swing things around to the front, and there's Simon Fell. Dave Sparks not all that far ahead either. You can still see race leader Andrew Berry in the frame. This is kind of a tough spot for Labarge here because you want to save tires, but you want to get past Simon. And then at the same time, you have to do the work and try to hold off these guys that are behind you, as Watson's going to have to look outside. Now he's going to cross over inside.
Yeah, and you see Watson's not very far off the rear gearbox. He's trying to take out our camera here mounted on the back of Brian Labarge's car.
Watson trying to get the move made. He's going to stick there on the outside through 1 and 2. So Watson's going to start going after Simon Fell here, but back behind, Nagisa Yoshikawa bouncing it off the outside safer barrier. Wes Shire able to get around him. Now Shire's going to go on the attack. This is all going on 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. .360 cam, best cam. This is a fun new toy to have to play with here. That is for sure. Back up front, we'll follow the battle between Watson and Simon Fell here from this view as well. Because, man, it's a good shot. I tell you what, though, Labarge bouncing it off the outside wall. This is one of those places where we talk about it a lot in the officials. If you pancake the wall and hit it kind of square with the side of the race car, you can get away with it. That doesn't necessarily mean you can hit it a ton, though. You do kind of have to manage how you're making that contact.
Yeah, I mean, these cars aren't made of glass. You can kiss the wall here and there a little bit, but it's not like a stock car. You got to be gentle. You're just kissing the wall. You're not hitting it.
So the number that we had of 250 laps with that caution period has now dropped down to about 90 laps to go here in this one. So potentially, everybody could be looking at one more stop. They're about 25 laps into the stint. I mean, really, the only issue I see with that is we're still not to the halfway point yet. If you make another stop and you've used both sets of tires, you're going to have to consider that you could have a 70-plus lap run potentially.
Which is going to absolutely kill these tires or whatever's left of them at this point.
I almost got to look. Think of the Northern Lights off the back straightaway there. Oh, Watson slides a little high through the midpoint of the corner. Kind of backs everybody up here. The 15 of Alex Teeter would be the next car to go one lap down, but he's still about 8 seconds or so ahead of the race leader. Andrew Berry holding a 1.8 second gap over Dave Sparks. Then it's another 1.1 or so back to this pack of cars, which is putting on a fantastic battle. Look a little bit deeper in the field. We got another good one here, too. Stephen C. Thompson, Jason Miller, Dakota DeMeg, Alex Teeter battling back 12th through 15th positions. Ben Carswell holding on about 0.4 of a second back from Zach Nurnberger. We're going to go back up here to this battle, though, at the front, because James Watson having a look inside of Simon Fell. Able to get that pass cleared, and now it's Brian Labarge who's going to have the look inside of Simon. Interesting comment here from Jason Owens. I really like Spark's strategy. As long as it goes green the whole way, or we get a caution with 20:22 to go. I think I still like Spark's strategy either way, because the last time these guys stopped was 35 laps ago. Yes, he's basically at this point, Dave Sparks is kind of hoping for a caution in the next 10 laps or so. That's going to put him right at the limit. Now, if it goes green all the way, then everybody's going to cycle through and make another round of pit stops, but basically, he either needs a caution before he has to stop, or he needs this thing to go green for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm almost team go green for a very long time. Let Andrew Berry burn his stuff up running away from the field. Sparks is far enough back that he's in clean air himself. And Berry is just running an unbelievable pace.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the 15-lap averages. Andrew Berry is 0.2 of a second faster than just about the entire field at this point. Vic Aldrich having to contend now with Jason Miller. This is going to be 12th, 13th, and 14th, with Dakota DeMeg in the middle of that one as well. Go back on board for the 360 cam here. Stephen C. Thompson not too far ahead of these guys either. Off the corner, we'll swing it around and pick up Dakota DeMeg in that Sunset Arctic Gaming number 82. These guys kind of running their own individual little race back here. Sometimes it's that fight we almost joke about for best in class. But when that's the race that, you know, the car that you've got, you got to go for the best that you can get here at the end of the night.
Yeah, sometimes you just know you can't win it. But a top 5 is a huge win maybe for some of these guys. Even a top 10 with how stacked this field is.
Man, great move by James Watson into turns 1 and 2. He's able to get that pass completed. Puts himself up to position number 2, and it is a 15-spot gain from where he qualified deep in the field. This is easily the drive of the night. The question becomes, is Watson going to be able to hunt down your race leader? We may be seeing here where the tires have absolutely fallen off the cliff for Dave Sparks. He is now back to position number 6. But all he's got to do is hold on to the end of the fuel run And it looks like he's going to come down pit lane this time. Oh, and he gets it out onto the grass. Sparks has to basically come to a stop right at the entrance to pit lane. Tough break for Dave Sparks.
Just like that, all that progress, all the moves he made running up front, it's all down the drain unless we get another caution. And even still, you're starting towards the back of the field again.
Yeah, and at this point, having gone a lap down, he needs this thing to go green and everybody else to have to pit. The problem is he's about 30 laps or so from that happening.
Takesi Yoshikawa looks like he almost got into the wall.
I was riding along quite a bit with Brian Labarge during the practice session, and I was amazed at how many times he pancaked the wall with that number 8 car. It was impressive that over the course of a 75-lap run, he'd hit the wall every third or fourth lap. But it was just kind of that flat side glancing blow, and that's the one you can get away with.
Yeah, and it's amazing some of the precision these guys can hit the wall with. It's almost like when you go to a drift competition, they're doing the drift taps when they're in practice, just barely kissing the rear wing against the wall, or where they put the pop can on the wall and knock it off with the spoiler. It's insane how you can have that much precision behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that here tonight as Labarge continues to run right up against that safer barrier at the exit of turn number 4. Shire having to look inside into 2. I just don't know that that run is going to be there yet. Following the pace of this group as compared to the race leader, they're still sitting right about 5 seconds back of Andrew Berry. Jason Owens checking in saying, "Danger, son." Zone. Danger. It's a Paul Tracy.
Say, I'm pretty sure he meant danger zone.
It's the Paul Tracy danger zone.
It's the Jason Owens danger son.
Ladies, hide your feet. Paul Tracy's on patrol. Dave Sparks still on pit lane. Up over 1 minute and 20 seconds. What a heartbreaker for Dave Sparks. Worked the strategy well. Unfortunately, the incident getting onto pit lane just cost him a little bit too much. Makes a little bit of contact. That car will need repairs. I almost wonder, as we see Dave Sparks coming back out onto the racing surface, if Andrew Berry wins this race by a wide margin, does he have Dave Sparks to thank? Because Sparks was able to maintain a really solid race pace in second that just allowed Berry to open up the gap huge. Everybody else wasn't quite able to get past them. They're fighting in amongst themselves. And Berry's just able to check out.
Possibly. I'm not sure Berry is going to win this one, though, just because with how far out he is. I don't know how he drives. I haven't raced him very much, but if he's one of those guys that has to be on the button 100% all the time, he could be burning his stuff way up where James Watson is sitting here running it 85 to 90%, saving his equipment and getting ready for a charge in the late part of this race.
I mean, I guess it's possible, but we're not seeing that yet. And this is kind of where we saw the big fall off in terms of lap time. Andrew Berry just has not had the same fall off. He's 58 and a half laps into his stint. The 15-lap average is a 19.610. The 5-lap average is a 19.594. He's actually getting quicker ever so slightly between those two averages, everybody else, it's just a tick slower. It's about a tenth slower. But at that rate, Andrew Berry is getting really close to the point of potentially coming in and pitting and leaving with the lead.
We also have to count on Berry getting on pit road safely. There is always the chance for the mess up on the pit road. It's not sealed yet.
Getting word from race control here. Cleared a black flag for the 00 of Dave Sparks. Penalty for unsafe exit. An iRacing error and it didn't release him. Oh, that's even worse.
Oh man, this is getting screwed both ways. It's going to be 15 laps down.
Yeah. So now, you mentioned that Andrew Berry getting on and off a pit lane cleanly. That goes for the entire field. We saw the issue that Dave Sparks had trying to get onto pit lane. That was not easy to accomplish. And at some point, these guys are going to have to start thinking about when do you want to make your green flag pit stop. If Andrew Berry does follow to his word and fills the car for a 75-lap run, he's going to be in the next 10 laps or so. But we're already within the window. We're down to 50 laps to go this time by. You're in that window of I can run fairly hard the entire second stint of this race.
Brian Labarge is on that mindset, almost getting into the rear gearbox of James Watson.
The AJ Camargo, Vic Aldrich have made their final stops. I kind of like this call here. Try the short stint, or the short stop. Try to run more laps on fresher tires, because if these guys run this all the way to basically empty on the fuel tanks, potentially you could make up some ground. And now again, we're talking maybe a second or two. This isn't necessarily a race winning strategy, but it could gain you a couple of spots towards the end of this thing. Oh, well, yeah, here's our answer. James Watson down on pit lane. 68 laps on the stint, and Watson will be the first of the race leaders to hit pit lane. Maybe having the same thought that we did there. Get the tires, get the car with just enough fuel in it. So Watson now back to the 11th position. He jumps back on the loud pedal. Got the other one. This pit exit is so tricky. Got to keep it below that yellow line the entire time through. So now the question becomes, when do we see Andrew Berry make his final pit stop? I guess the other potential question comes, does anybody have something saved that they could go the entire way? Because you could go 100 plus laps. You would have to go about 115 if you were to stay out.
Well, Dave Sparks probably has enough to make the checkered flag.
Yeah. Dave Sparks checking in the comments here. It says, I don't know what happened, but got an unsafe pit penalty when I came in to serve it. My pit crew decided to do a little dance, moving back and forth, and didn't fix anything. That's brutal.
Yep. One thing going forward I have noticed, if you get a penalty, and as soon as you hit your box, it is unclearable. So even though Race Control did clear that penalty, if you stopped in your box before they cleared it, unfortunately, iRacing says you gotta serve it anyway. So going forward to any of the drivers and anyone else that's tuning in, if you get a penalty and Race Control is gonna clear it, stop a box short, let that be cleared. It'll save you some time. You're still gonna suck sitting in the wrong pit box.
Oh, Andrew Berry. Wow, he almost binned it coming into the pits. But he is on pit lane. Your race leader has led all 69 laps, or well, he's led 69 laps thus far. Simon Fells led 28. Dave Sparks led 11. So Barry's going to hit his marks for his final stop. Now we await Brian Labarge, Wes Shire, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Zach Nurnberger, and Stephen C. Thompson.
And Barry is not a lap down. If the caution comes out right now, who wins? Andrew Berry. He's about to get lapped here by Brian Labarge, but he's going to be able to hold it off on the bottom side, I think, and keep himself on the lead lap if a caution does come out.
That is huge. That's what I was trying to say earlier, by the way. Not pit and retain the lead, but pit and not lose a lap is what I was getting after. Andrew Berry now sitting with a 4-second lead over James Watson. And this is big here because it does take a handful of laps for these cars to kind of get up to get the tires up to temperature, where they're really operating in that kind of key window. I am seeing Andrew Berry scored 1 lap down. He's the first car 1 lap down at this point, as Simon Fell sets a new fastest lap of the race out of position number 12. So now we just have to wait and see. If we get a caution, we will have 6 cars on the lead lap. I don't remember. It used to be in the TNT Shock Series, there was no wave around. Lap cars went to the back. So this really becomes a huge thing for Andrew Berry to try to get his lap back, because if we get a caution flag, his chances at a win are basically out the window as we're down to 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and that's why they call this the danger zone. Because he is still the effective leader of this race if everyone else has to come and take a pit stop. But the danger zone part of it is if the caution comes out, he's a lap down, his race chances are done. And that leaves only 6 cars effectively in the fight for the race win at that point.
Yeah, and I tell you what, looking at the numbers here, I am seeing an 84 lap stint now for race leader Brian Labarge. And we're going to have about 29 laps to go. It would be a 113 lap stint. I think it is just barely doable on fuel.
Andrew Berry getting ready to unlap himself here. Going to be side by side with Brian Labarge for 3 and 4. Goes back to single file across start finish line. Going to make another dive to try and take his lap back.
Yeah, and they are just catching up to Jason Miller in the 6th position. Miller, a similar strategy to what these guys are running here. 85 laps on the stint thus far for Miller. Berry is able to unlap himself. Oh, and there's contact between Miller and Labarge. Wow. What a save by both of those guys. Heavy contact off of turn number 4. You could almost see that one coming. The old tires of Brian Labarge just shoving that car up to the outside on corner exit. Jason Owens checking in the comments here saying, I think you can do 115 to 120 on this tank full save. That is such a gutsy call, though, because you do have to be in full save mode. And right now, actually, I think we're seeing it possibly out of Nagisa Yoshikawa in third. 15-lap average for Brian Labarge, 19.756. Right in line with what he's been doing. Same thing for Wes Shire. Nagisa Yoshikawa is up over 20-second lap times.
How is Brian Labarge doing? How bad has he fallen off? I mean, you could see just how far Andrew Berry has ran away from him.
Yeah, they're, like I said, their lap times are in like the 19.8s. They're not that crazy slow that I would call it a full save. As Wes Shire looks inside, he wants the race lead off of 4.
I almost wonder if Brian Labarge has a little bit of damage from that contact with Miller.
And don't look now, but here comes James Watson. He could potentially unlap himself as well. So we are in full-on strategy watch mode here. What does Brian Labarge and Wes Shire decide to do? The only other battle for position on the racetrack right now, the AJ Camargo and Simon Fell battling for the 10th and 11th positions. Probably the biggest thing we can talk in terms of fall off at this point, Bizzle, is the difference between James Watson, who is the first car 1 lap down in 7th. He is running 19.5s for the 15-lap average to 19.9s for the 2 guys at the front of the field.
That's a big difference. I'm not sure they're going to be able to hang on for another 5 minutes. That's what, 20 laps?
Yeah, but at this point, they're playing the fuel mileage game. They're basically just saying, we're not going to stop again. And this is where things get tough. If you're Wes Shire, you don't want to give up any track position to James Watson here. But you know Watson's on fresher tires. The car is just faster than you at this point.
Not only that, you want to stay side by side with Brian Labarge if you can and kind of blockade Watson back there.
Yeah, this is a defining moment in the race right now. How quickly does James Watson get past Brian Labarge? As Watson's trying to fight to put himself back on the lead lap with 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go. That would mean under a caution flag, Andrew Berry, Stevenson Thompson, James Watson, those guys would cycle through to the front of the field because they're on the lead lap. So that would mean Brian Labarge and Wes Shire would actually be, what, 6th and 7th, potentially? Nagisa Yoshikawa there, so maybe 5th, 6th. Oh, the caution's out. Yellow flag is out with 3.5 minutes left to go.
That looked like Andrew Berry.
It looked like it may have been. Take a look at the NRN replay. Berry locked up in a pile of race cars. He goes around in turn 1, pancakes the outside wall. And that puts us under the caution flag as the race leaders were right there. Oh, what a tough break. Now the question becomes, if you're Brian Labarge, Wes Shire, do you stop? Stephen C. Thompson came down pit lane that time. But this is going to be a quickie caution. it looks like your top 4 are going to stay out on the racing surface, as does James Watson, who's now up to the 5th position. Jason Miller and Stephen C. Thompson will be the 7 cars on the lead lap. And we should see the lights go out on the iRacing safety car this time by. Your top 4 have 104 laps on their tires. James Watson in 5th has 36. He just flew past both of your race leaders. But is he going to have enough time with 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go? Oh, this is going to be a fantastic shootout late in this race. Green flag in the air. We're back underway. Great start for LaBarge. Shire's going to have to go to war with Nagisa Yoshikawa. And what does James Watson do? Great run off of turn number 2 that time for West Shire. Nürnberger, Yoshikawa. Oh, there's almost contact. Watson dives inside of Yoshikawa.
Very aggressive through traffic here.
Yes, he is. We're inside of 60 seconds to go. LaBarge and Shire battling for the race lead. Can Watson close in and steal one? Oh, this is going to be good. It's down to 0.6 of a second. Watson just eating time out of the race leaders. 27 seconds, should be about 3 to go here at the line. Shire and LaBarge side by side. That's not going to do anything for their pace. And Watson's going to be right there. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. LaBarge holds the lead off of turn 2. Shire looks to the inside. Watson scrapes the outside wall. Shire looks down to the inside. They almost make contact. Off the final corner. Checkered flag in the air. West Shire gets the win at IRP. What a finish. 15 one-thousandths of a second.
Heartbroken for Brian LaBarge. He's been fighting so hard to get a win on one of these ovals. Oh, man.
What a show. But there's West Shire, your race winner. Oh my goodness, what a finish. Shire's going to do the Polish victory lap off of turn number 4. While he does the partying, let's take a look and show you tonight's race results. Shire by 15 thousandths of a second over Brian LaBarge. James Watson with the drive of the night. He had to do it twice. Back to front, organically unlapped himself, and then had to pass 4 or 5 cars just to even have a shot there at the front. What a drive by James Watson here tonight. Easily the best we've ever seen out of him in the TNT Shock Series. Zach Nürnberger and Stephen C. Thompson complete the top 5. 6 through 10 tonight, Jason Miller, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Ben Carswell, Nieje Camargo, and Simon Fell. Second page of the leaderboard will be Vic Aldrich, followed by Andrew Berry, Dakota DeMeg, Alex Teeter, and Mike Long back to 15th. 16th to Dave Sparks, 17th Robert Drew, Matt Galida in the 18th position, and RJ Hetge rounds out your 19 car field here this evening. So we'll get ready for our victory lane interviews, and we'll kick them off with our third place finisher here tonight, Mr. James Watson. And man, James, I'll tell you what, that was, we said it during the show here just a moment ago, that was easily the best drive we've seen out of you in the TNT Shock Series. Congratulations on a quite frankly, a fantastic run here tonight. And talk us through that a little bit. What happened in qualifying to start, I guess?
I keep forgetting we have the stupid 2-lap average rule.
We said it during the show. You need to have the broadcast up. James, don't forget to take the second lap.
It's just,
We did say it.
I'm just so fucking frustrated, man. Like, it was, one of my best drives, but it's not, like, just kind of falls into Wes's lap, man, and it's just, it's frustrating because, like, that was what I did not to happen.
I guess, though, talk us through a little bit of the race itself, because we followed you a fair bit tonight, and it looked like a whole lot of fun slicing your way through traffic just to get yourself there. And then the short pitch strategy almost worked out absolutely perfect for you.
Yeah, Victor put together a great setup, the best setup that honestly I've ever driven here. So that's why I was confident in doing the short pit strategy. And I might have been able to at least maybe get Wes, but I got held up by Zach on that first lap after green. And yeah, by that time my tires were pretty well roasted. They were better than Brian's and Wes's, but they're still worn out. So if I had another lap, or if they got like single file, I may have been able to do something. But yeah, it's just frustrating, man. Like, to have a come from behind performance like this, and for it to matter absolutely nothing. It's just like, it's why I'm never going to win the championship in this series, man. Like, no matter what I do, like, stuff always lines up in Wes's favor. Like, the most competitive I've ever been in my time in this track, and it lost me points. So I give up, man. I don't know what I got to do, but
well, we're looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season is going to bring for you here, James, because Phoenix next week, Kern County, North Wilkesboro, and then Gateway to round out the season. It's going to be a fun show. We're hoping that we see up here a whole bunch more. Congratulations on the podium, and before we let you go, let's do all the sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah, I got to thank you and everyone at National Racing Network. Got to thank DES Designs and Dizzy V Designs for doing my paints. Team Watson Racing Setups, use code WATSPIN39 for 10% off at checkout, and Boomer button boxes.
All right, James, thank you much. Man, Bizzle, it's tough. You hear the dejection in his voice, and it's just like, gosh, the kid's going to get a championship in this series. Come hell or high water eventually, but that one was fun. Let's talk to a guy who, quite frankly, I am absolutely gutted for at this point. Brian LaBarge, an absolutely incredible show you put on here tonight. How in the world did you make that tires and fuel last 110 laps? Because you and I talked pre-race, and 75 was about the max.
I parked myself right behind James Watson for about 40 of them. And that was, I think, the only reason why I was able to do that. I mean, my tires were completely shot at the end, and I honestly think that's why what was the gap of the line? Like
15,000.
15,000, yeah.
The only reason why that gap was just because I could not keep my foot in it in the last corner. If I kept my foot in it, I would have hit the wall.
You looked like you were pushing hard, and it looked like you backed out of it. If I just timed it just slightly better, but I did have to come up and lift in that left corner, because otherwise I was going to tap the wall, and who the hell knows what was going to happen. But yeah, the only way I made that was because I was sitting behind James Watson for however many laps it was, and
think that if we hadn't had that last caution there, I would have been running on fumes. Like, I would be sputtering coming through the last corner.
Wait, so you mean to tell us we had a chance to have 3 cars on fire crossing the line for the win, and you took that away from us?
You should have heard the dejection in James Watson's voice. Could you imagine if you wrecked Wes off of 4? He could have won the race, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can't believe it. Like, I mean, I know that gap. It's a second place, and I know it's. I mean, considering the year I've had so far, I will absolutely take second place by 15 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, this is a big night for you in the championship standings, going from a tie for 19th to, well, significantly higher in the point standings. I think the cartoon anvil may have missed you this time tonight here, Brian. Congratulations on the podium. It was well earned. And before we let you go, make sure you do all the sponsor plugs and thank yous.
All right. I got to thank the rest of the drivers that I race against on a weekly basis, because you guys are pretty freaking awesome. And obviously NRN for hosting this delightful broadcast. I can't wait to go back and watch this one. But yeah, NASA, JPL, everybody who takes part in just all of this. This is just so awesome. So thank you, everybody.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate the kind words from you. Quite a whole lot of love coming out of Brian LaBarge tonight. That was awesome. Let's bring in a guy who led a grand total. Let's do the official count here, right? Oh, yeah, 1 lap tonight, and it was the good one. Wes Shire, congratulations, picking up another win here this season. Man,
I led my favorite lap there.
Yeah, you got the job
I'm
done.
going to lead 1. That's the one I want.
How did you get that move made on Brian off of 4? Because, I mean, obviously he said he had to lift a little bit, but it was still, that had to have been dicey trying to do that on 110 lap old tires.
Yeah, so from the previous lap or 2, I know he was really struggling off of 4, and I knew my only option was just going to be hope it sticks. I'd fully resigned myself to, if we crash, we crash. Or I win, one of the two. And it worked out, so I'll take it.
You know what? You're the second guy I can say this to now. You deprived us of 3 cars backwards and on fire at the finish for this thing. And we couldn't have wadded them up. This was the most docile race the TNT Shock Series has had in a long time. Man, it was fun, though, because as the strategy started to develop and we saw Andrew and James and everybody pit, did that concern you at all? Going, man, these guys are going to be super, super quick late in this thing.
For sure, yeah. So after the only pit stop I took, I had figured, okay, I'll pit about 10, 12 minutes to go, like just about everybody else will. And as Watson got by, and I sort of tucked into the draft, I'm just watching my fuel number, and it's slowly getting closer to good. And I'm sitting thinking, okay, I know I'm pretty good on tires. If I just back off a little bit on tires and a little bit early, just back everything up, I might be able to make this to the end. And I didn't believe I was going to make it even until that last caution. I really thought I was going to run out with a couple laps to go.
Well, man, it was the drive was fun to watch, and quite frankly, you were hassling Brian over those last 15 or so laps. How much fun was that to battle with him? Because he's really turned the corner as a driver, and he's one of the quickest in this series now. And it's got to be fun to have kind of a new-ish name that you get to battle like that with.
Yeah, really, really fantastic. Brian's always super, super clean. In fact, I think I was the dirtier driver there because I did slide up into him with like 2 or 3 to go. Just a little tap, nothing major. But yeah, really, really good to battle with him. And on old tires, man, it is so much fun around this place. He got 2 or 3 lines just everywhere, and no grip. So much fun.
Yeah, this one was an absolute blast. Congratulations on it. You're not a points guy, but you definitely closed the gap here on James. So you got to be feeling pretty good about that here too as we head into the final 4 races of the season. Wes, congratulations on the win here tonight. And before we let you go, do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous we got going on here.
Yeah, as always, got to thank you guys for the broadcast. Got to thank the rest of the TNT Council for helping run this show. And thanks to everybody in the league for showing up every week and putting on a great show for everybody. And, of course, big thanks to Homestead Coffee, keeping me awake and alert enough that I can drive these things on the edge and not wad us up 3 wide and on fire and upside down, which we'll save that for Fast Masters.
Yes, we'll kick that off here very shortly. Wes, congratulations once again on the win. Thank you much for coming to hang out with us here. And Bizzle, we've got a points fight now. I'm going full Rick Allen here. 4 races to go, and it is a 1-point gap separating James Watson in first from Wes Shire in second. Game on at this point, I guess. This is going to be a 2-man fight to the finish.
Especially with Phoenix next week. That's a track that not only suits Wes Shire, but he has more wins there than I think we've raced there. So I know we heard the dejection in James Watson's voice tonight, but I don't know how he's going to be able to do it going to Phoenix knowing Wes Shire is going to be on top at that track.
Well, yeah, but there's also some other names that we did not see here tonight. Nate Siefker, I'm not sure that we're going to see him back for next week's race, but Jason Owens was on the road tonight. JO 56769, whatever it is, he'll be back in the car next week. Man, there's a lot of guys that I think have a shot here. Brian LaBarge, there's a lot going on behind the scenes setup wise. I think this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal closeout to this season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very, very tight point battle coming to the end of this.
Yes, it will be. And we told you earlier in the broadcast about the schedule coming up for this week, but we'll recap it again for you. Tonight was good. Tomorrow night might be just as good. The Sim Racers Club SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series Fall Season presented by Mint Mortgage will head off to Talladega Super Speedway, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. The SRC guys are always a great show on the super speedways. Can't wait for that one. And then the Indy Pro 2000 Championship heads off to America's National Park of Speed, one of the fastest road courses they will run. And they get off to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin on Thursday night. Note the time change on that one, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh my goodness, this has been a great show of racing this week. Let us know in the comments if you want to see Tuesday night sprint cars. I think we can do them for a season, just with the way the sprint cars will line up with the Shock Series. We only got a couple of weeks left to get that ball rolling. But with that, it's time for Bizzle and I to get the heck on out of here. Fantastic show tonight, as always, out of the TNT Shock Series. And we thank you for coming to hang out with us as well. For Bizzle and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.